Dolphin Radio. I'm Brad Michaels, along with John Bach here in the studio. John's in Florida, but we're coming off of a very impressive win last Thursday night against the Baltimore Ravens. We're on a 2-game win streak. John, your quick thoughts?
Well, I love what the Dolphins did on defense last week. I thought their defense played great. It was nice to see Xavier Howard play well. But especially what Flores was doing on defense last week, he showed a lot more different schemes than he's shown the last couple. It produced 4 sacks. It held the Baltimore to under 100 yards rushing. So they did a great job on defense. And then, Ford and
Wilson
and Albert Wilson came up with big games and made plays down the field. So, there's some good things to be said. We still don't. We didn't protect the quarterback. We're still not running the ball efficiently, but it was good enough to win.
Well, it was interesting that one of the first things that you mentioned besides the defense was Wilson and Isaiah Ford, because that was something that as you started talking, I started to circle that. It was something I wanted to talk about. Albert Wilson was challenged by the coaching staff to get out there and practice so he could be getting into the games. And he had a 21.8 yard average on 4 receptions for 87 yards. And then let's go to Isaiah Ford, 21 yards per catch, 4 receptions for 84 yards. So we got some really big games out of those two guys.
Well, they both had huge plays. I
yes.
mean, they both had plays of 60 yards or better.
Right. We had a 64-yard long for Wilson and a 52 for Ford.
That was fantastic. Exactly what we needed. Again, we're not talking about Parker or Preston Williams or anybody else. We're talking about Waddle and those two. So
right.
We're finding players right now that are stepping up and playing very well. And I was happy for those two guys to make those plays and get down the field. And I mean, there's nothing more exciting than when you see call it a third player. I mean, they're not a 1, they're not a 2, they're a 3 and a 4, and they're making plays down the field right now. That's what we need. We need more of that out of the guys who are supposed to be the 1. Devontae Parker and Preston Williams, we thought we would see more out of them. But Waddle, man, he's having a great year for a rookie, and that was fun to watch as well.
He really is, and he caught 4 passes for 61 yards, 15.3 yard average, which is fantastic with a long of 35. I thought that a lot of the spark, our defense played great. I'm going to touch on that in just a second. Our defense played great, but I really thought that the spark for the offense was, unfortunately, when Jacoby Brissett went down with the knee injury. He got up and he was ready to come back in the game, and Flores said, nope, I'm going with Tagovailoa. And when Tua came in, the stadium, you didn't hear it as much as I was hoping to hear it, but you could hear some Tua chants. He had a horrible first series. I think he had a bad second series. But after that, he seemed to find his groove. He got on target with Wilson. He got on target with Ford and with Waddle. And you could just tell that everything was starting to turn around, and that's what obviously led to the final score being 22-10. But the defense came up big. And as a matter of fact, you mentioned Xavier Howard. I saw yesterday or heard on Sirius XM NFL radio, he was Defensive Player of the Week.
Well, good for him. We needed him to have a big game. He's been a little slow this year, but he's still the great player that he is.
Yes.
But, God, it's so hard to really evaluate Tua because our line play is so bad. I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it's some wide receivers like Devontae Parker not playing or Preston Williams not making big plays down the field. We're getting secondary guys making plays. Gadskin was, I think, 4th in receptions, if I'm correct. So we're getting the ball to backs, but there is no time for him. They were terrible on third down. They were 23%. And by that alone, the Dolphins should not have won that game. But Tua made some plays down the field. We haven't seen vertical attacks very much. Now, those routes were underneath, but they had stretched the field enough to make those routes work for 64 and 52. That was great to see.
Sure.
So it's just hard for Tua. I mean, that line is so bad. You know, they gave up another 4 sacks. It's hard to evaluate him. And I think he's probably taking more criticism than he deserves as a second-year quarterback. I'm even changing my tune about him a little bit. I think Tua, maybe he's good enough for us, and just maybe we don't have the right pieces around him.
Well, I think that's a big piece of the puzzle right there, because when you talk about the offensive line, I have the numbers. I've got the numbers pulled up from Pro Football Focus, and when you look down at the players that have enough snaps for their scores to count in ranking, out of however many players are qualified for the rankings, our numbers are horrible. Our best 2 guys on the offensive line are Michael Dieter and Greg Manns. That's center. Manns is 20th out of 39 that qualify. Dieter 19th out of 39. Problem with Dieter, he's been injured, and he's on injured reserve right now, and so is Manns. He just went on injured reserve. So you've got the rest of the guys, though, on the offensive line. You've got Austin Ryder playing center. He's 35th out of 39. Robert Hunt, 45th out of 75. Austin Jackson, 70th out of 75. And you get down to the tackle play, Jesse Davis, 72nd out of 79. And Liam Eichenberg, 77th out of 79. So just looking at those numbers alone, you can pretty much deduce the fact that our offensive line is, if not the worst in the league, one of the worst in the league.
Well, it's going to fall on Greer, but the last time I checked, there's only 32 teams in the NFL, right?
Exactly.
Well, how you rank 70th?
Well, that's out of all of the players at those positions that have qualified with enough snaps to be in there. So you got to figure.
Yes, I know, but do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Richmond Webb never came off the field, so if he was the worst guy in the NFL, he'd be 32.
Yeah.
You know, our offensive line's not playing well. We're struggling up front. We've spent number 1 picks at that position to shore it up, and we're just not getting it done up front. Our rushing game is terrible. We only ran the ball for 60 yards. We only got 4 first downs in the rushing game. And on third down, we're 23%. The Dolphins should not have won that game.
No.
But our defense played great. They showed some different looks I haven't seen all year. And it paid off for them. It really did. And that's the kind of creativity we want to see on defense from Flores.
Well, and it was interesting. I don't know if you knew this or if you had heard about this. Flores took the defensive game plan out of the defensive coordinator's hands for that game. Flores called the defense himself.
Yeah, that's not a good sign if you're a coach when you got to pull something from somebody, because that's another distraction in the locker room that we don't need. But I mean, this is all going to fall on Greer in the offseason. So, I mean, we're happy we got a second win in a row. We're all ecstatic that our defense played great. We are happy to see some big plays down the field, which we have not seen all year with those 2 big receptions. Little trickery as well. I mean, the fake screen pass toss back to Tua.
Yeah.
I mean, that was very ingenious and very creative. I've never seen that before. So, there are a lot of things moving in the right direction, but I think, Mr. Ross is going to sit down with everybody in the offseason, and then Greer is really on the hot seat right now.
Well, there's going to be a lot of evaluations going on in the offseason to see who makes the cut, who stays with the team going into 2022. It's going to be interesting to see. We've talked about this before. You never know with Mr. Ross what he's thinking, where he's wanting to go with the organization. He could surprise us all, and he could clean the slate again. The man's 81 years old, though, and he wants to win, and he wants to win now. So I don't know if he's going to do a complete reset or if he's just going to make a couple of smaller changes. But here's the thing. If Greer ends up on the hot seat, if you get rid of your general manager, most of the time you bring in a new GM, he's going to want to bring his own coach.
Well, that's up to Ross and the president of the Miami Dolphins right now, Garfinkel.
Yeah.
And that's something we discussed in previous shows. So and we're gonna have to see how that falls out. But when you hold Lamar Jackson to 14% on third down, and you hold the Ravens under what was it, 80 yards or 90 yards of rushing,
94 yards rushing.
That gives you a chance to win right there.
Oh,
Our
absolutely.
offense by no means won this game.
No.
We knew our defense was talented, but the offense is still struggling. It was good to see Tua make some plays. It was good to see Isaiah Ford and those guys get some big breaks down the field. But when you're running the ball for 2.4 yards a carry, you only have 4 first downs via rushing in the entire game. You are not going to win many football games doing that.
No, not at all. It's 2.7 yards per carry from the rushing. But what was really nice, and we've talked about this, obviously, with those 3 players getting those high numbers, we held the Ravens to an average of 4.5 yards per pass play, while the Dolphins rattled off 7.3.
Yeah, but it was 4.1 to 2.7 overall.
Right. And that's fantastic. That's what I like to see. That's what we need to see. Again, like you said, though, you're absolutely correct. The offense did not win this game. They were given enough opportunities, though, by the defense, and the defense holding Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to such low numbers that, for crying out loud, Houston probably could have won this game.
Well, you'll take a win any way you can get it. And this week it was won by our defense.
Yep.
That's a defense that we've known to love here in Miami. They've done very well for the last 3 years. They've been slipping a little bit this year, but it seems like they dialed it in, and they beat a good Ravens football team.
They did, and so I'm going to give them props. It's a 2-game win streak. I can't really say a whole lot about the Houston game. We talked about that last week. It really wasn't a whole lot positive to talk about other than the fact that we came out of it with a W. This game against the Ravens, while there are still problems, this game made us feel a lot better about that defense moving forward for the rest of the season. And it's interesting to note that the Dolphins are now coming up on a 4-game stretch that are all winnable games. If they can rattle off the next 4 in a row, that would put them on a 6-game win streak and even their record at 7-7 and put them back into the playoff discussion.
Well, let's not overshoot right there. We're 2 games back, and we're 2 teams back, 3 games back in our own division right now.
Right.
So I don't see that happening. But at least if you're moving in the right direction, it gives us a reason to get behind you. What was frustrating, we were losing to teams that we were better than. And maybe they've settled that issue here. They come out 2 weeks in a row. Coming out week 3, this Jets game is a huge game. It's inside the division. We have to find a way to win that one at all cost.
We have to, and it's not going to be easy. It is the Jets. The Jets always play us tough, it seems. There's a few times that they'll kill us or we'll kill them. Like I think the last time, and this is interesting because Joe Flacco is actually going to start for the Jets this week. Zach Wilson is still not ready to go from that MCL injury on his knee. So we're up against Flacco. Now, the last time Flacco lined up at quarterback for the Jets and played the Dolphins won that game 24-0.
Yep. So I hope that Flacco shows up.
Me too. And you know what? He's going to show up if the defense that we saw on the field last week against the Ravens is the same defense that shows up this week in New York. My thoughts on the New York game, I don't think we're going to blow them out. Some reason, just something's going to happen. We're going to come out a little flat. We're going to have to make some adjustments. But I do think that this is a game. Obviously, it's a winnable game. I think it's a game that we will pull out. And I don't think it's going to come down to like a last-second field goal or a last-second drive. I think it might be a little touch and go there in the fourth quarter until we put it away with about half of that quarter to go. I would say that the Dolphins probably win this one comfortably by a score probably of about 24-14.
I would agree with that. But remember, division teams are built to beat each other.
Right.
So they're built to win games, even though they may be a bad team, but they know 8 games a year are in their own division. So they're going to come out. They're going to be ready to play. They think they match up well with us. But I think you're right. I think, Dolphins have some confidence right now, winning 2 in a row. I could see them winning, call it 24-17, but the game not really being close.
Right. And because that's always the big thing. You see sometimes in a lot of games, you see it looks like it's a very close game by the score, 24-17, 24-21, something like that. Whereas before all the garbage yardage and some garbage scores near the end of the game, it was probably 24-3.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
So it's a little bit misleading sometimes if you just look at the scoreboard. That's why I always tell everybody I like to go through, and you notice the thing that I like to cover the most when I'm looking at the overall game is the final team statistics, because that tells me an awful lot.
Oh, it does, but it's also situational. Sure. I mean, when you put yourself in a situation and make a big play and you do, that momentum carries a long way. So, I mean, you can win a game with stats all day long, but can you make plays when they really count?
When they count.
And that's the difference. So we made plays this week when they really counted. And that's what was the difference was.
Well, and we had a few stupid penalties, and I'm not going to say that the penalties were all on us. There was some that were really ticky-tack penalties from the referees, I thought, especially in that drive where Baltimore got their touchdown. I mean, you're going to call roughing the passer. The guy's coming in to make the hit. You expect him, he threw the ball, he has to stop. Come on, give me a break. He's got his forward momentum going. Let the guys play football. But we didn't make any really stupid penalties that cost us the game, which we've done so many times in the past.
Yeah, but 11 penalties is way too many.
Way too many.
But that penalty on the roughing the passer was such a bad call. I mean, even 5 years ago, you would not have called that. You can't ask a guy running 4-4 just to stop. I mean, he just chested him. He didn't put his helmet into him. He didn't take him to the ground.
No.
He didn't hit him with velocity or force. And they're going to call that. That was very poor in my opinion. That was a very poor call. You got to let guys play sooner or later, but that was not roughing the passer one bit.
No, not at all. And you could tell, I mean, the stadium went completely nuts. The referees got booed an awful lot by our home crowd. And it's unfortunate, though, the Ravens traveled well. I don't know if there's just a whole bunch of Baltimore fans in Miami, but they seem to travel well, because I think that they said that the overall, what they were estimating was probably about 20,000 Ravens fans out of the 50,000 total in the stadium.
Well, you do remember, how cold it's up there right now.
Yes.
And no one's traveled because of COVID, and they're all down here in Fort Lauderdale. There were Ravens people everywhere all week.
Yeah, I was shocked, because I was at all 3 of the bow campers, the Miramar, Plantation, and of course there in Fort Lauderdale. And it was amazing to me to walk in there and see people with the purple on. It was like, are you kidding me?
Oh, they were everywhere. They took over my downtown. So I had to deal with Ravens fans all weekend. But, that's one thing about being in Miami. It used to be we were playing on Monday night. So we had all the big time Monday night games where everybody from the north could come down, during this time. So we're used to having out of state fans here to come watch the games here against the Dolphins. That's nothing new.
No, it's definitely not something new. And it was nice, though, that I remember there was a comment from John Harbaugh. He mentioned to the media that a lot of the problems that the Ravens had on offense was the crowd noise.
Yeah.
So the Dolphins fans, they got loud. They were banging on those seats or doing whatever it was and screaming at the top of their lungs, and they made life difficult for the Ravens all night on Thursday night. It was a great game to be at. We had a great time, and actually the clinching score with Tua taking it in from the 1 on the sneak was right in front of us in that end zone. So it was a good time. We were obviously anytime the Dolphins are playing, it doesn't matter how much they're up by, you're going to start biting your nails at some point. But it was really good to see them get that win.
Yeah, it makes the whole week here better. I mean, good for them. we had higher expectations in this, but at least they put together a good product last week. You saw some good plays out of Tua. You saw some good plays out of our wide receivers, and you saw the defense that we haven't seen this year. Right. And those were all great things. I'm so happy for all those players.
Well, I am too, and it was finally good to see them. You could just, it was a big relief. When we beat Houston, we all walked out of the stadium kind of like, okay, well, we won, but that was too close. But after the Ravens game, the excitement leaving the stadium was just incredible. And I think had it been a day game, a lot of people would have stayed and tailgated more in the parking lot. But of course, it was late. The game didn't stop. The game didn't finish until almost midnight. So it was like a mass exodus. But it was a lot of happy fans, and they were honking their horns as they were heading out.
And that's always great to see. I mean, we have a great fan base. We just haven't had a very good product in 20 years. But our fans are loyal to us. Yes,
that they are. So unless you got anything else you want to bring into the discussion about the Dolphins, I want to move on to one of your favorite topics, and we've been covering it now for the last 2 weeks. This will be our third week covering this, is high school football.
It's all ramping up right now.
It absolutely is. I'm going to go through and stop me, as I'm going to just go through the scores and stop me if there's anything you want to point out about any of these games. But here were the regional quarterfinal results, and this is just in the regionals. So in 8A, had Deerfield Beach 21, Boca Raton 7. Didn't you say you thought Boca was going to give them a good game?
No.
Okay. I thought for some reason I thought you mentioned something about Boca.
I think I picked all these correct, I believe. I don't think I lost one.
Okay. All right. Miami Palmetto 56.
We'll have to research. We'll have to go back and watch last week's episode and see if I'm wrong or not.
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely going to have to do that. Miami Palmetto 56, Coral Glades 21. Orlando Boone 42-7 over Wellington. Palm Beach Central 41. Port St. Lucie Centennial 9.
That's the one I lost. I lost that one.
Oh, okay.
I thought Centennial was going to beat Palm Beach Lakes, which I absolutely love as a school. And I thought that game was going to go the other way.
Yeah, well, Palm Beach just came out and laid 41 points on them. Port St. Lucie Treasure Coast 47, Palm Beach Gardens 22, Vero Beach 46 to Forest Hills 14, and then Western beat Stoneman Douglas 43-7. A lot of lopsided games.
Yeah, they put a smackdown on them. So this week, Western's got to play 8A Columbus out of Miami. Now, the head coach, Dave Dunn, is a dear friend of mine. We work together at FAU on that staff. He's been at Marshall and Harvard in a bunch of great schools. He was a head coach at Catholic for a lot of years. So as much as I love Western, I'm rooting for my boy, my boy, and it's also Mario Cristobal's school from Oregon.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I'm rooting for Dave. I'm rooting for Dave Dunn, the Explorers, this week to beat Western.
Well, hopefully it's going to be a good game. I know as we get into
Western should beat them
further.
Western should win the game. I mean, Western's got a chance to win 8A this year.
Nice.
So Western's doing very well. But I get with my buddy Dave Dunn down in Columbus. He's doing a great job down there, and I'm really happy for him.
Good. Let's move on to 7A. Again, a lot of lopsided games. Dillard just came out and shut out Fort Lauderdale 42-0. Homestead 55, South Broward 3. Melbourne 41 to Seminole Ridge 7. And Miramar 28, Doral Academy 20. That was the closest game of the whole week in 7A. And St. Thomas Aquinas 43, Atlantic 7.
Yeah, that's the way it should have went down. I'm happy for Miramar. That's one of my former offensive linemen, Jared McDonald's down there as the offensive line coach. I have a good relationship with him still. I still talk to him every week. So I was really happy for him. And then, I love Atlantic High School in Delray, but St. Thomas is a monster. So, St. Thomas will be very tough to beat them this year.
Well, and I just saw something and I didn't pull it up. I don't have it in front of me on the computer. Former offensive lineman from St. Thomas Aquinas in Louisville. They say it's a homicide investigation. Do you know anything about that kid's death?
I did not hear anything. He died?
Yeah, the 400-pound kid. Let me see if I can find it. I was shocked, and I thought I had sent that one to myself.
Yeah, I don't know him. So
Okay.
Yeah, that's a shame to hear. When I was a freshman in Louisville, we had a running back that tore apart Florida State as a freshman, and that night he got shot in the back and is still paralyzed today. So he's been paralyzed his whole life after being shot in the back. And that kid definitely would. His name was Herb Henry, and he would have played in the National Football League. But Louisville's a tough town, and where the school is, you can get in trouble really easy when you get too far off campus. So that's a tragedy to hear.
Yeah. I saw it. I'll pull it up and I'll try and send it to you a little bit later. All right, in 6A we had 2 games: Coconut Creek 36, South Fort Myers 12, and Plantation. The Popcorn Kernels had a pretty good game, 44-20 over Fort Myers Dunbar.
Right, for both of them. And I told you, Creek, all the kids at Gibbons, a lot of the kids played at Coconut Creek. And they were the 12, 13U champs. So now all these kids are seniors right now, and Coconut Creek's playing very well.
It seems that way, and we'll come up to the upcoming games here shortly after I get through all these scores. 5A, American Heritage 42, Boynton Beach 14. Stranahan 22-7 over is it Estero or Estero? Estero.
I thought that game would go the other way, but I'm really happy for them. We played them earlier in the year, and they weren't as good, but they came on late in the year.
All right, and in 4A, which is going to be interesting, we'll get to the 4A games coming up. Glade Central 34, American Heritage Delray 20, Miami Booker T. Washington 30, Calvary Christian Academy 6, and Pinecrest 10 over Miami LaSalle 7.
Yep. It's the way we all thought it would work out. 4A has been weak this year, and my kids' school's in 4A, but they didn't play a lot of teams. So you had a 10-0 LaSalle come in. That means they didn't play anybody this year for them to get beat by Pinecrest.
Yeah, obviously. And you touched on that last week, as some of these schools they never did play anybody. So, the 10-0 records don't really count because you beat up on a whole bunch of people that you should have beat up on. 2A, let's see here. 2A, we had Glades Day 38, Westminster Academy nothing.
Yep, told you, Glades Day, man. They can play football in the Glades. Glades Central, Glades Day, and Pahokee. I mean, those kids out there on the lake can play football.
Well, obviously, it seems that way. You play a 38-0 pasting on somebody in the playoffs. That's pretty good. We're coming up on the schedule. Here's the regional semifinal schedule. You already talked about Miami Columbus at Western. Anything else you want to add to that game?
No, just Western's really put together a very good program the last couple of years. Without COVID last year, they probably would have had a shot to win 8A. But as much as I love Columbus, I'm going to root Columbus this week, and I used to live in Weston, and one of my college friends coached Weston for years. But Western's the dog this year. They're the ones you got to beat down here, at least south.
And at least in the South Regionals and hopefully in the state. I like to see, the teams from the Tri-County area making things happen. Got a couple of interesting games. I'm going to cross over to a 5A game, but also up in the 8A. The date is to be announced because they're going to play the games at Tropical Park. The first one is the 8A game, Deerfield Beach, technically at Miami Palmetto, but the game is at Tropical Park.
Yeah, we've played Palmetto, but no one's stopping Deerfield right now. Not in the second round.
Okay.
So I'm going Deerfield all the way. I've coached against those kids for years. It's a great program. Their coach had passed away a couple of years ago. Suddenly, he was a young guy. He was doing very well, and he built that program up. But Deerfield Beach and Palmetto, I have respect for both teams, but I think Deerfield's too powerful for them.
Okay. And closing out 8A's games this week on the 19th is Vero Beach at Palm Beach Central.
Again, Palm Beach Central. I mean, I don't know. Vero's too far away for us to really hear about them that much.
Right.
So I don't know how good they are, but they play good football there. But I'd like to see Palm Beach come out of this.
All right, let's go into 7A. We got 2 games coming up this Friday. In the 7A, we've got Miramar at St. Thomas Aquinas and Dillard at Homestead.
Yeah, well, I picked Dillard. I don't know. See, I don't see much of Homestead either. And they hit a huge monster score, but Dillard's played good football this year. But I'm gonna go with Homestead.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna go with St. Thomas, of course.
I'll definitely go with St. Thomas. I've heard about them.
I like Miramar. Yeah, I love Miramar, and again, one of my former players is the coach down there, and he does a really good job. He teaches what I used to teach, but I think St. Thomas is just a monster. I mean, St. Thomas is like IMG. They're really a national school. They're not a state school.
Exactly. In 6A, we've got Plantation at Coconut Creek.
It's a pick 'em.
I don't know enough about it. I mean, we played Plantation every year, or crosstown rivals. I don't know enough about it. You do. And
those kids have been playing against each other since they've been 5 years old.
Yeah.
They all play in the AYFL out there out west. And Plantation used to dog them, and then Creek switched it around. So, to me, it's a pick 'em. They're both good programs. They're both well coached. Just who shows up, I could see like a one-score game either way.
All right. And in 5A, we've got 2 games. Now, here's the first one that I said that the date is to be determined, and it's going to be at Tropical Park. But this is technically at Stranahan at Miami Killian.
I'm taking Killian.
I would take that too. At least that's one team I've heard of. I've not heard a whole lot of positives about Stranahan. I mean, obviously they're in the playoffs, but
I think Strahan's 5-4 or something like that. And again, Killian's a monster. They can be. They have their years. And the guy that coached me was Chris Pagodas. He was head coach down there for years at Killian. They would have 17 Division I kids a year out of Killian. So I don't know what their talent is now, but I would take them.
Here could be a really good game. Again, 5A, you got Miami Central at American Heritage.
Wow. Heritage beat us on a last-second field goal.
Right.
I don't see them beating Northwestern.
You mean Miami Central?
Miami Central, I mean. Yeah, Miami Central. I don't see them beating Miami Central. Miami Central is like the number 2 ranked team in the state right now. I see Miami Central all the way, probably double-digit win.
The way I've seen all the scores so far.
Yep. I'm sorry, Pat. I gotta say, I'm sorry to Patrick Surtain and Daryl Porter, who are both good friends of mine. But I don't see you beating them. Miami Central Rockets. They are a rocket ship this year, and I expect them to win the state.
Wow. Okay. Let's get into 4A. I know this is dear to your heart, but I'm going to start with Glades Central at St. Petersburg, Lakewood.
I'm going Glades Central.
All right.
I'm a big fan of the guys at Lake, and I'm a big fan of Glades Central. They're a competitive team year in and year out, and they're always in the hunt for a state title.
And then this game, we talked about this. You even said that this was probably what was going to happen, that Pinecrest would have to face off against your son's team, Cardinal Gibbons.
Yeah, and we played them early in the year, and we've had a really easy break. We didn't play our last game of the season. Then we had a bye week the first round of the playoffs. So we haven't played in 3 weeks. So we got Pinecrest this week, and our schools are literally a mile apart.
I know.
So,
right down the road.
It's going to be a great atmosphere. I love the kids at Pinecrest, but we are Gibbons people, and it won't be close.
I don't think that game's going to be close, not after what you and I talked about last week and what you filled me in on.
We already beat them by 45 earlier this year. So my son played 2 series, and they yanked them. So we're up 28-0 in the first quarter. So this game should be a good tune-up game for next week's game, which is probably going to be against Gulliver Prep.
All right, and 3A has 3 games this week. You got Miami Edison at Chaminade Madonna.
Chaminade's going to win the state.
Yeah, and
they were a beast this year.
Yeah,
they're playing very well. And I don't know how they're in 3A. They probably should be in 4A with us, but they're not. But yeah, they're a great football team. And again, another school year in, year out. It's always a great product.
Absolutely. I remember Chaminade. They always had it. Always seemed to get their act together every year. Cardinal Newman at Miami, Florida Christian.
We played them as well. I'm going Cardinal Newman.
I'll go Cardinal Newman in that one. And then the First Academy at Benjamin.
Well, I'm hoping Benjamin wins. Sapuli Malamala is the line coach up there. And his son's a monster. His son is a freshman starting, and he's 6'6", 290.
Wow.
I mean, the kid's a beast. He's just like his dad, man.
He sounds like it. 2A, we've got Fort Pierce, John Carroll at Avant-Garde Academy.
Oh, wow. Now, I don't really know those two teams that well, but I know John Carroll is a great football team. But everyone's talked about Avante Park. So I'm going to go Avante. I'm going to stick with South Florida.
All right. And then Glades Day at Miami, was that Champagnat? Champagnat. Wow. I butchered that name, didn't I?
Wow.
I'm trying to be all French here.
I'm going, Champagnat lost a quarterback last year. And a guy named Manny Fernandez, who was a former UFC champion kickboxer, was his son that played there. He was a tall, good-looking quarterback. That's a pick 'em. I'm not sure which way to go on that, but I do like Champagnat. I think they're a good organization. And they recruit well.
Well, I'm glad you knew how to pronounce that because I'm looking at it. I'm like, what is this French name? All right. And then finally, we got 1A. We've got Bradford at Pahokee.
I'm going Pahokee.
I remember you talked about Pahokee last week, so I got to go with them.
I love Pahokee.
Well,
Pahokee's that town. Them and Belglade are about a mile apart, 2 miles apart, and it's all just sugarcane workers. And those kids are so tough and they're so fast. I have a great time just going out to the lake. So next year we're going to go see Glade Central play Pahokee in the Muck Bowl. And you'll never see anything like it. It's one of the greatest high school games you're ever going to see by two small schools.
I've got to try. I've got to go to more high school games next year because I'm coming down. I fly in the day after Thanksgiving, and my flight's all messed up with Spirit. They're not even getting me until Sunday morning. So I think pretty much everything's going to be over with by the time the next week comes around that I'd actually be able to go to some games.
Yeah, we got 4 weeks left. But the good news is they split the state championships up. Mm-hmm. So half are in Tallahassee, and then half are down here at Lockhart.
Oh, nice.
So right here on Commercial Boulevard. So and like 4A is going to be here. So you got a chance, in the second week of December, you can get down for a game. Then like half the games are going to be down here in South Florida.
I might be able to. I'm going to be down there I'll be down there for the Giants game on the 5th against the Dolphins, but then I fly back out on Monday the 6th.
Either way, a lot of us are going to be home. So we're going to be in Fort Lauderdale or Dade County. So that's a week before for the championships. So the North region, the North semifinals will be that weekend. The South semifinals will be that weekend. Okay.
Well, hopefully I can get a chance to catch a game. I'd like to catch Cardinal Gibbons game. That would be a lot of fun.
And we're looking for 3 out of 4 years. They call it 21 blackjack.
That'd be nice. That will definitely be nice. 21 blackjack. I like the sound of that, especially coming from Vegas. All right. Well, back to the Dolphins here real quick before we wrap everything up. Any final thoughts on the Jets game and anything we need to be looking for?
Well, I was happy to see our defense play the way that they did last week and the scheme changes they did. Offense, they got to get better. Special teams, they got to get better. We got to run the football better. But this is a game we probably should handle. So I'm taking the Dolphins 21-17 over the Jets.
And I'm going to stick with.
And the game's not close. Might be 21-10. The Jets score a late touchdown.
Right, and I'm gonna stick with what I said earlier. I think that the Dolphins. I think this is going to be again. I don't think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be more along the lines of probably 24-14. I think we're going to be able to get stuff done. I think it might be 21-14 heading into the fourth quarter, and then we finally get a field goal midway through the fourth quarter and kind of put it away. I just want to see. I want to see a good defensive game plan. I want to see a good defensive effort like we saw against Baltimore. And I want to see more of what we saw starting in the third series that Tua started in the second half last week when he finally started getting things rolling and getting in tune with his receivers.
Yeah, he did a great job on the checkdowns, and those checkdowns paid off big. I'm really happy for Isaiah Ford and Albert. What is it? Albert, what's his name? The other receiver.
Oh, Albert Wilson. Yeah.
Yeah, Albert Wilson. I mean, I was really happy for both of them.
Yep.
I'm still waiting for Devontae Parker to show his head. He hasn't done that yet. Preston Williams hasn't done that yet either. So it's a free agency year for a lot of those guys. So, I was happy to see at least two of them stepping up.
Well, and the interesting
and then Waddle,
thing. Yep.
Waddle's rookie of the year, in my opinion, for the Dolphins. I mean, Waddle has played outstandingly. We got our money out of that pick. That was a great pick for us.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's only going to be, we just got to see, is Tua going to be the guy moving forward? Is it going to be somebody else? But it seems to me, like I said, it was two series were no good. We're horrible for Tua's first two. Then after that, he seemed to get into a rhythm. He seemed to get a little more comfortable, and he was able to move around the pocket. He was able to make some space, and he found his guys. And obviously those guys were Albert Wilson, Isaiah Ford, and Jalen Waddle. So it's going to be nice to see Waddle moving forward if Tua stays on the field, the chemistry between these two guys and what type of magic they might be able to bring to that Dolphins offense.
Well, we're all waiting for it, and we're all rooting for it.
Now, we've been waiting for it for 10 games. We're starting to see a little bit of it, so let's just keep our fingers crossed Tua stays healthy. Because that's the other thing. Tua is on right now. He is on a 7-game tryout.
Pretty much.
So we just want to see the positives moving forward. Keep it going. One other thing that I was going to mention here, and I can't find it. I've got to look at it here real quick. Here it is. Our defensive coordinator, Josh Boyer. I knew the name is just it wasn't coming to me. Josh Boyer, as I mentioned. Flores took the game plan out of his hands last week as far as for calling the game and called the defensive signals himself. He was on the headset. He had the card in front of his mouth. Josh Boyer moving forward, I mean, we had the success with the head coach calling the defense against the Ravens. Do you see that that's something that's going to continue, or do you think he sat down with Boyer and said, look, that's how you do it. Watch what I did and call the play accordingly?
I'm not sure about that, but I did not know that had happened.
Yep.
But I told you it was a different defense. I mean, that's the defense I wanted to see called. I mean, Holland came up and had that sack. That was beautiful, bringing the safety on that particular down. That's Flores' brilliance, his defense.
Yep.
If Flores has got to call this defense the rest of the year to keep us alive,
call it.
Then, either way, that he's going to fire the defense coordinator. Because if you're so mad at the coach, you kick over his play calling, that usually means the end for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you mentioned Javon Holland. That kid is playing lights out. That kid he's grading out his PFF grade overall defensively 76.3, the best safety on the team. And out of 92 safeties across the league that qualify for the ranking, he's 13th out of 92, and he's a rookie.
I love him. He's playing very well.
He's fantastic.
Week in and week out, he's making plays. He's not afraid. He's not afraid to be a run support. He's not afraid to go deep with a wide receiver. He's having a great year, and I'm really happy for that young man.
I am as well. John, another great show. It's always good having you on with us. I'm looking forward to getting back down there after Thanksgiving, catching a couple of games. Now, because my flight, just going to let you know, because my flight is not getting in until 5:37 or something that Sunday morning of the Panthers game, My buddy Adam, he's going to go to the game with his son. I'm going to take care of getting my rental car, and I'm going to get my butt over to Bow Campers and sit down and just watch the game on the TV. So if you want to swing over there and have some beers with me while we're watching the game, or actually some of your Captain Morgans, you're more than welcome. Join me for the game. I think we'll have a good time.
Definitely. I'll be down there. I'll meet you.
All right. That sounds good. Anything else you want to add, or
let's just try to put 3 in a row.
Try for 3 in a row. Let's get on a roll.
Put 3 in a row.
That's it. Get that 3 in a row. We'll get on a nice little roll, and who knows? Maybe we can turn the season around. Not going to say we're going to make the you-know-whats, but I just want to see that they're able to actually put this team back together, get it headed in the right direction where we all thought we were going to be most of the season, except for a few calls here or there and a bad bounce of the football one way or another that we probably cost ourselves 2 or 3 games. But we did play very poorly in most of the games up until last week. So that's it for this week's edition of Dolphin Radio. I'm Brad Michaels with John Bach. We'll see you next week, hopefully with another check mark in the win column.
Thanks for watching or listening. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. And for more great content, check us out on the web at www.dolphinradio.com.